Welcome to the Barrett channel, welcome to another video. Just giving you a live update on the coronavirus and what's happening on the ground here in Guangdong province. This morning we're driving from Shenzhen to Huizhou, and as you can see we're on the highway now and it's almost empty. And you'll sort of see that this would be normally much busier than this, but it's due to the people taking advice from the Chinese authorities not to travel. It seems that late yesterday the leader Xi Jinping called a special meeting of his advisors and government, and they've suggested that China is facing quite a grave situation. And there was a lot of criticism, or there has been a lot of criticism of the way the Wuhan government have so far handled the situation. And it seems what's happening is the Beijing government are now sort of taking over control of the situation. And I'll talk a little bit more later on about what's going on. But first I'll just show you, as we went through a couple of checkpoints here, both leaving Shenzhen, entering Huizhou, and then coming back from Huizhou back into Shenzhen. They have checkpoints on the road that are checking temperatures. All the cars must stop, and every person within a vehicle has a temperature check. So this is this is really a good thing, and I would assume that this is in cities all over China at the moment, not just here in Guangdong. So I'll come to you with a little bit more information as it develops throughout the day. First of all, the numbers. As of 2 p.m. on January the 26th, 2020, there are now more than 2,000 confirmed cases of the coronavirus. Most of those cases, over half of them, are in Hubei province, which is the epicenter of the outbreak. Then there are 104 in Zhejiang, 98 in Guangdong, and 75 in Chongqing. The rest are scattered throughout most of the provinces in China. I think most provinces now have at least one confirmed case in China. There are 5 confirmed cases currently in Hong Kong, but what's kind of worrying is that Hong Kong have 244 suspected cases as of today. Further afield, abroad, there are currently 38 cases, of which Thailand has the most with 11 cases. That's probably due to the fact that at Chinese New Year, more than 7 million Chinese people travel abroad, and Thailand is one of the top destinations for travel of Chinese tourists at New Year. In fact, I think this morning the Chinese government has sort of sent out a sort of statement to all travel agencies to cancel group travels abroad, group parties. This is something that's really common in China, this group travel. So this will be good news to many foreign countries. And yesterday Xi Jinping convened a meeting of his top officials and advisors, and he told them that the spread of the virus is accelerating and that China faces a very grave situation. However, he underlined his government's commitment in dealing with this outbreak and doing everything possible to bring it under control as soon as possible. It seems the central government are now taking a much more active role amid criticism of the Wuhan provincial government, and they've set up a national task force in order to deal with this. Additionally, 5 medical teams totaling more than 1,200 people, and this includes 450 medics from the military, have been assembled and dispatched to Wuhan, the epicenter of this outbreak, in order to help the medical doctors, nurses, and other medical staff on the ground there. And also, additionally to that, work has also started on a second temporary hospital to be able to have a capacity for in excess of 1,000 patients. And this is scheduled to be finished in a timescale of approximately 2 weeks. This is in addition to the one that was started 1 or 2 days ago, also of a similar size to be able to deal with around 1,000 patients. And this is scheduled to be finished in the next 4 to 5 days. So as of today, there are approximately 18 cities within Hubei province that have effectively been put on lockdown, covering more than 50 million people. And many other provinces around China are introducing other measures to try and combat the spread or limit the spread of this outbreak. So here in Shenzhen, where I live, they have closed bars and some cinemas and anything that is like KTV, public places where many people will gather or congregate. As of now, they haven't closed restaurants, but I did have a friend who went into a Starbucks yesterday, and he had his temperature checked by a member of staff at Starbucks before he entered the premises. So, this is being taken really seriously. A number of provinces have delayed the start of schools, but most provinces around China now have cancelled any public events or gatherings or things like that in order to, do their best to control the spread of the virus. One issue that I see with this is that people, when they get this virus, they don't always exhibit symptoms of a fever, and it was reported yesterday by a doctor in Paris actually that of the 3 cases that were confirmed in France yesterday, 2 of the patients showed no signs of a fever or temperature when they entered France, when they entered through border control into France. And this is quite concerning because it seems that even though you can be carrying the virus, not everybody will show outward symptoms of that, and it seems different people show different symptoms. Some people have had symptoms of diarrhea but no fever, other symptoms of shortness of breath without fever. And this has also been confirmed by some doctors within China that have examined patients with the virus that also have not shown any symptoms. So this really makes it more difficult to control the spread, because if you're carrying the virus but are showing very few symptoms or no symptoms at all, you will think you don't have the virus, so you actually may be transmitting it to other people without even knowing. And I think this is why the authorities are imposing so many either imposing travel bans or advising people not to travel unless it's absolutely necessary. With regards to travel bans, the city of Wuhan have also now stopped any cars, private cars, entering the central areas of the city. They have providing a fleet, the authorities are providing a fleet of 6,000 taxis to be used for people who absolutely need to travel. I guess that will be for things like, emergency services, healthcare workers, etc., etc. And a number of other provinces are now sort of, enacting kind of bans on buses and trains, especially ones that are from one province to another, to try and limit the overall movement of the amount of people in order to contain the spread of the virus. The Wuhan government or the provincial government there are being quite heavily criticised on Chinese social media by citizens, as it's felt that they didn't act quickly enough or swiftly enough when they had the first sort of signs that the outbreak of this virus. However, citizens feel much more confident now that the central government has stepped in and started to take control over dealing with the spread of this virus. Hospitals in the worst affected areas of Hubei province are really starting to struggle with the extra demand. Literally thousands and thousands of people are turning up to either be looked at or diagnosed or treated. Now, this is to be expected. You take a hospital anywhere in the world, if you're geared up to deal with 500 people a day and all of a sudden you get 5 or 10 times that amount, of course it's going to become difficult. Supplies are running short, and medical staff there are working round the clock. They're forgiving their holidays. They're going without breaks to try and do their best to see and treat all the patients that they have coming to the hospital. In response to this, the central government are dispatching an extra 14,000 additional suits to the area, as well as more than 100,000 sets of gloves, goggles and masks. But obviously they will take time to arrive and be distributed. And I think one thing we should say here, we must really commend the staff who are working tirelessly at those hospitals. They really are doing a superb job in what is really very difficult circumstance. So I really think people shouldn't criticize. They should really give some love to those staff that are really working hard in the province of Hubei, in all those hospitals. They're doing a really good job under the heavy pressure of this outbreak. The USA are planning an air evacuation of their government, politicians, workers, and a number of American citizens from the epicenter, Wuhan. And I believe that is going to happen on Tuesday. Also, the UK and French governments are looking at plans to move citizens out of the worst affected area of Wuhan. There are approximately 200 to 300 UK citizens in there. However, the latest from the UK government is they're working on a plan, but obviously the logistics of such an operation are quite challenging at the moment, with the ban on a lot of flights and trains and that in and out of Wuhan. I will keep you posted as much as possible on that situation. Western media and the regular bunch of anti-China YouTubers are taking this opportunity to be as negative as possible about China and the current situation. However, in my opinion, any country that has a national crisis or emergency, it always takes time to properly arrange resources and logistics. Governments are always criticised for how they handle these type of events, whether it be the bushfires in Australia, whether it be the Hurricane Katrina in the USA, whether it be the floods in the UK that have happened over the last 10 to 15 years. It's very easy to look back after the occurrence and say, oh, we could have done this better or that better. However, in my opinion, I think the Chinese authorities totally understand the severity of the situation at the moment, and I think they are doing everything that they are able to contain this fast-moving situation. So I really think now is not the time to be criticising the Chinese government. It's not many other countries that can lock down cities, 18 cities, totaling more than 50 million people, and operate such a wide-ranging amount of measures to try and stop the population moving around and gathering. You got to appreciate China is a huge country. They have hundreds of huge cities. It is a really difficult task, and I feel that the Chinese government are doing the the best that they possibly can at this difficult time. I'll do another update in the next 3 to 4 days or sooner if anything major, if there's any major changes in the situation during that time. But anyway, that's another video from the Barrett channel. Thank you everybody for watching. Stay safe, and as always, take care.